Jesus once said, "With God all things are possible." Matthew 19, verse 26. Now this story, from pulling back the curtain on the former Soviet Union, proves that. During a missions convention in the United States, a Nazarene farmer approached Chuck Sundberg with tears streaming down his face. He wanted to help their work in Russia, he explained, and promised to send the proceeds from his best-producing field each year. They prayed together, and Chuck went on his way back to Russia. One day the phone rang. A woman named Masha was calling from a city 600 miles east of Moscow. She'd been a devoted communist and atheist until a severe illness left her dying in hospital. Desperate, she cried out to God, "If you are really there, please help me and I will follow you." And that night, she said, an angel walked into her room, touched her, and told her she would recover, but she must be faithful to God. So after her miraculous recovery, a friend encouraged her to find the Church of the Nazarene in Russia. After much searching, Masha found Chuck's number and phoned to invite him to help start a church. So off they went, and Masha's warm welcome was overwhelming. She'd gathered a growing group of believers who met in a cramped office, the only space available. The group was so large that they had to alternate weeks attending. And after a great time together, Chuck promised them $10,000 towards finding a permanent meeting place. Well, several weeks later, Masha's son called Chuck, bursting with excitement. They'd found a run-down building on the main street for $21,000. They needed an answer by 10 the next morning. "We've only got $10,000, Chuck explained apologetically. And the son was disappointed but understood. Now the next morning, Chuck checked his email, and there was a message from that farmer back in the US. And he'd sent a check from his best field's crop. The total? Well, you guessed it, $11,000. He apologized for not telling them sooner and hoped that they could put it to good use. Of course, Chuck immediately phoned Masha's son, who sounded exhausted as he answered. It turns out they'd stayed up all night praying for God's help with the purchase. And Chuck told him about the email, that they could now buy the building. God had provided the exact amount they needed during the night they were praying. And the son dropped the phone, and voices erupted in the background, praising the Lord and shouting with joy. He got back on the phone and said, "You're right, Pastor Chuck, it is true. With God, all things are possible." Perhaps you need to remember today that with God, all things are possible. Will you pray and seek the Lord's help and provision, like Masha and her community did? Maybe God has got a great breakthrough for you around the corner if you would pray and believe in His miraculous provision.